A very good morning, everyone. All my dear students, welcome to StudyIQ English. Welcome to the Hindu newspaper class with me. I'm Saumya, and like every day, you and I shall be discussing, analyzing, talking about, interacting about UPSC relevant articles from the Hindu newspaper, New Delhi edition, just like we shall be doing today. That's for 22nd January 2026. Once again, a reminder of how quickly time flies, right? So every day, is supposed to be a very productive day where we shall at least revise or learn something very concrete and be extremely inquisitive about everything that's happening around us. UPSC is more an exam of awareness, inquisitiveness, and your command over current affairs more than any other static topic. And on that positive note, I wish you a very good morning. I welcome you to the class. So here I have about 9 articles from today's newspaper. You might be thinking, why 9? Because again today we had a dense newspaper. It was enriched. So what I have done is that I have chosen the articles that deal with new topics for us in detail, whereas the familiar topics, for example, the Greenland controversy, China Taiwan controversy, and for example, the Gaza Peace Board, I have summarized in short. We shall just look at them with the map. Perhaps we won't exactly go in great depth about them, okay? So here are 9 articles from today's Hindu. The first 3 articles here, as you can see, are taken from page number 6. Why? Because that's the editorial page. So 6 articles from the editorial page. Why did I not take all 4 editorial articles? Because one was talking about BRICS and the online payment system that is being mooted through India's RBI. We have looked at that, so we shall wait for newer developments to happen and then take it up again. So in the meanwhile, 3 editorial articles, and before I start with the first one that deals with polity and governance, that deals with judicial removal, the procedure of removing the judges of High Court, the procedure of how much involvement comes from the parliament when it comes to removing prestigious, well-known, reputed judges in India. What's the controversy? Let's have a look at that. And before I proceed with first article in detail, as always, let me quickly welcome my dear students, my lovely, inquisitive nerds. So very good morning, Bulbul Priyanshu. Very good morning, Anushka. Priyanshu, thanks for that. I'm so happy you could see the segment. And Sumit, Tirkula, Himanshu, Rishi, Ponguru, Kaizan, Shubham, Madhav, Vikash, Kojumba, and Kritik, Iba, Arul, as well as Hari. Then we have Satya, we have Kumar, we have Kavish, and Ramu hasn't joined yet. Sitaram hasn't joined yet. Here comes Ramu. What a long life Ramu has. Santosh, Ramu, all of them are here finally. So Kavish, Sumit, Satya, very good morning everyone. God bless each one of you. May you see tons of success in your life. Lots of blessings from my side. And as other aspirants keep joining in, let's quickly now start with the first article. So let's focus on the screen. Let's focus on the discussion. The first article for the day is coming from GS paper 2, polity and governance. Polity and governance. Let's understand what does this article has to say. This article is looking at impeachment process, the process of removal of judges in India. Why is this article in news right now? Because in December 2025, 107 Lok Sabha ministers of parliament that come from the opposition party, Congress-led opposition, the India bloc, they submitted a notice for removing Justice G.R. Swaminathan from Madras High Court. This motion has listed 13 charges. The notice contained 13 charges against this justice known as Justice G.R. Swaminathan from Madras High Court. 13 charges were leveled against him, including how he has acted against secular constitution principles. Now, secularism is a key principle of India, highlighted in India's preamble, because we all know by now, preamble is the key to the constitution. And in our preamble, we strongly say that India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. The word secular, added by the government of Miss Indira Gandhi back in 1976 via the 42nd Amendment Act, a principle added by Indira Gandhi, but a principle initiated by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Secularism, secular, The government will not prioritize any one religious community, and in the eyes of law, all religions are the same. I have said multiple times, India follows the logic of soft secularism, flexible secularism, positive secularism. We are not like the Western countries, America, Europe, who believe in hard secularism. In our country, although the government will not interfere in any religion, the government will not discriminate against any religion. But under Article 25(2), when the Indian government feels that now there is time to change this religion, now there is time to cancel, to abrogate a particular religious practice that is against the welfare of citizens, the government will interfere, because the soft secularism that India has allows interference. We are a model that is called non discriminatory secularism. The Western countries like America follow a secularism that's known as non interventionist. There, the government cannot interfere. In our country, the government will interfere. Yes? So, therefore, soft secularism. Once again, there is a major difference between these two words, secularism and secularization. So, be very sure about that. Now, coming back to the agenda, there are charges that are leveled against Justice G.R. Swaminathan of Madras High Court that he has acted against India's secularism. Therefore, people are saying that he has been favoring particular religious communities, and that defeats the purpose of India's soft secularism. So, therefore, this notice was submitted to the Lok Sabha, the Speaker, on 9th December by the opposition party led by the India Bloc. Now, let's quickly understand, therefore, very good critic. France has strict secularism. So do countries like Netherlands, Germany, US. Very well said. Thank you, Vikash, for that. Absolutely. The Berubari case, wonderful and great for reminding whether the constitution is a part, whether the preamble is a part of the constitution or is it not an integral part of the constitution is another constitutional debate in India. And as Vikash has explained beautifully, when you talk about the basic structure doctrine under Keshwanand Bharati 1973. And when you talk about the Berubari 1960, we have had conflicting opinions on the same. Whether it is an integral part, whether it is not, a very crucial question for GS Paper 2, Polity and Governance. Thanks for pointing that out. Very well said, Vikash. Thank you for that. Okay. And well said, Udit. Well said, Trishti. Good morning there. Now, coming back, mini constitution, Hari. That's very valid point you've raised. Thank you, Ramu. Wonderfully, you have explained about that. Okay, now let's come back here. We all know that opposition party has submitted this resolution against Justice G.R. Swaminathan. They want him to be removed because he has acted in an anti-secular manner. Now, what are the grounds for removal? Let's understand how in India can a judge be removed. So in India, a judge can be removed on two reasons. One, proven misbehavior. Two, incapacity. I repeat, one, proven misbehavior. Two, incapacity. If you talk about misbehavior, then as per the language of courts in India, misbehavior could mean corruption. Misbehavior could mean deliberate act which abuses your office or any misconduct. Lack of integrity, that means lack of honesty. In GS paper 4, you will read a word called probity. Probity in governance. So here as well, lack of probity, lack of integrity in your character. Now, acts that are moral. Which are the acts that involve moral aptitude? All these acts are things that uphold the constitutional duty of being a judge. These are the two main grounds in which a judge can be removed. Now, for small problems, for small things like negligence, for small things like some minor act of misbehavior, some misjudgment, these are not the grounds on which we can actually remove the judges. The grounds have to be very severe, either a misconduct or proven incapacity. So what are the laws in India that govern the procedure of removing the judges? So let's understand that. In our constitution, we do not use the word impeachment for judges like we do in the case of president. When you look at the position of President of India, the executive head of India, we use the word impeachment. It's a very tough process for the removal of president. But when you talk about judges, the constitution doesn't use the word impeachment. In fact, the constitution chooses to use the word removal. That's the key thing here. So what happens and how are these judges actually removed? So One thing is very clear. When you look at the Supreme Court judge, we are looking at in India Articles 124 sub-article 4 and article 124 sub-article 5. But when you are looking at the judge of a high court, then you are looking at articles 217 1b and articles 218. So briefly remember this always. Okay, so we are looking at different articles of the constitution corresponding to the high court judges and the Supreme Court judges, but the same procedure of removal shall apply to both Supreme Court judges and high court judges. But there is one thing that you must be very careful about. Our constitution uses the word removal for the judge. It doesn't use the word impeachment like we have used it in the case of president. And which article deals with President of India? That's Article 61. Yes, when you talk about impeaching the president, that is Article 61. For the judges, our constitution is not using words like impeachment. We are using words like removal. So what is the law that determines and that governs the procedure of removing a judge? So listen very carefully. The Parliament in India has enacted a special law that is known as Judges Inquiry Act 1968. It's a law made by the Parliament. Under which article? Under Article 124 sub-article 5. Along with Judges Inquiry rules, it lays down the entire process of how to remove a judge in India. Really well said, Sitaram, Santosh and Vikash. Okay, so how should we remove a judge? Now, listen carefully, step by step, what is the procedure of removing a judge? Now, please remember, the Constitution uses the word impeachment for the president. For the judges, we are not using that word. We are saying removal. So now what happens? How do we remove a judge? How? Listen carefully. At least 100 Lok Sabha MPs or 50 Rajya Sabha MPs must sign a notice of motion. Now, this notice, after being signed by these many people, has to be submitted to the Speaker of the Lok Sabha or to the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. And you all know who is the ex-officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. It is the Vice President of India who acts as the ex-officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Yes. Now, once the notice is submitted to the heads of the House, in case of Lok Sabha to the Speaker, the presiding officer, in case of Rajya Sabha to the presiding officer, chairman of Rajya Sabha, Vice President of India, then what happens? Now, here comes the biggest problem. This article has highlighted that the biggest problem in removing a judge is now the stage that has come. What happens now? Once the speaker or the chairman receive this notice, it is up to them. They may admit the motion or they may refuse the motion. Today, this article is asking, why have you given this flexibility to the Speaker of Lok Sabha and the ex-officio chairman of Rajya Sabha to either admit the motion or reject the motion? We are not doing this in the case of presidential removal. Then why have we made it discretional in the case of the removal of judges? If the Speaker or the chairman of Rajya Sabha, they disallow, they stop or refuse the motion, there is no inquiry, there is no future debate. You cannot remove a judge, therefore. And what happens if the Speaker or if the chairman of Rajya Sabha allow the motion to pass? Then what happens? What happens? Now what happens is that an inquiry committee is created, but only after the motion has been admitted. It has been approved. And what happens in the inquiry committee? In the inquiry committee, you have one Supreme Court judge, one High Court, the Chief Justice of some High Court. Then one distinguished jurist has to be there. Now this committee will conduct a detailed investigation into all the charges. Then what happens? Once the investigation is done, now parliamentary approval is very important. Every house must pass this address with a majority of the total membership and 2/3 of the members present and voting. And then eventually what happens? Finally, the president will give an order and the judge stands removed. Look how tough the procedure is. Is it an easy procedure? No, it's a very tough procedure. It demands special majority of the parliament also. Why is the procedure so tough? Yes, Eric, Sadhna, Kritik, why is the procedure so tough, Ramu? The procedure is tough because we are deliberately protecting judicial independence. we are preventing the removal of judges for political or for small reasons. We are not allowing the judges to be removed on any small or trivial complaint. We are maintaining integrity of judicial office, autonomy of the judges in India, and therefore a high number of people to pass the notice, special majority of the parliament, and later presidential approval, proper inquiry committee are all mandatory steps in removing a judge. But if this is like that, then what is the problem? What is wrong in making the removal of a judge so tough? Why is it a problem today? I'm asking, why is it a problem? Yes, it is a problem. This article says it is a problem because you have given too much executive power at the admission stage itself to the Speaker of Lok Sabha and the Chairman of Rajya Sabha. The Speaker or the Chairman can reject the motion or allow a motion without stating a particular reason. And this happens even before an inquiry committee be set up. Remember the procedure. First, the notice will be signed by majority of the House. Then it goes to the head of the House. If the Speaker or Chairman approve, only then an inquiry committee is created, which means even before you can make an inquiry committee, you need the Speaker and the Chairman of Rajya Sabha to pass or to approve this motion. That means this is giving too much power to bodies like Speaker or the Chairman. You are making them approve or disapprove the bill without having to give a proper reason either. This happens even before you can make an executive committee, and as beautifully as Hari and Kritik are saying, after all, it's about executive overreach. You're giving too much power in the hands of Speaker and Chairman. Now, this is becoming a problem today because if the Speaker or the Chairman reject this motion, if they do not allow, they do not admit that, then what happens? Even a motion that is signed by 100 plus ministers of parliament becomes meaningless. That means majority has no value. The constitutional process becomes frivolous. It becomes useless in that case. And yes, it is a problem. It is a problem because the act does not specify clear conditions for admission or rejection. And which act am I talking about? The Judges Inquiry Act 1968. It doesn't specify clear-cut conditions whether you need to admit the motion or can you reject the motion. So therefore, the Speaker and the Chairman are acting as statutory authority. Their duty is to act like an authority of the body of the House. Here, they are acting in an arbitrary manner most of the times. Maybe they have political allegiances here. Who knows? At the same time, this definitely could mean nepotism, favoritism by the government of the country. Whosoever is the ruling party can get their things done in their own way if the Speaker or Chairman has a wide power like that. Now, at the same time, what is the constitutional inconsistency here? Now listen carefully. When you look at the Indian Constitution, it is Article 124 by 5 that allows law only for investigation and presentation of address to the president. It does not give any authority to the Speaker or the Chairman to reject a motion even before inquiry can happen, and still they are doing that. The most unfortunate thing is that this is also a contradiction to Article 61, that is impeachment of the president. In case when you are impeaching a president of India, the highest executive body of India, when you are impeaching a president, then what happens? Then the motion has to be passed by the Speaker or by the Chairman. They have no discretion to reject. Then in the case of a judge, why have you given them the discretion to reject? Is there a conclusion? Can we have a solution to this deadlock? Yes. The first thing is the provision that allows the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, the presiding officer, and the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha to disapprove, disallow, or not admit the motion needs to be reconsidered. Investigation should happen before the rejection or approval of the motion, not the other way around. It defeats the purpose. Today we need a reform to prevent political interference in judiciary, to stop executive overreach, to make sure accountability is there even with judges. Judges are accountable, and preserve judicial independence and maintain constitutional balance. That's the only solution we see to a problem like that. Very good, Ramu. Absolutely, Vikash. Article 55 talks about the separation of power between executive and judiciary. Very well commented there. Yes? So is that clear with everyone? Is that clear with everyone? Yes? Sahil, Iba, Kritik, Hari, who have just joined, Sadhna, Sitaram, very good morning, my dear. Happy to see you. Is it clear with everyone? Then if yes, then please try to answer the question that's here. And what does the question say? With reference to the removal of judges in India, consider these statements, please. Thank you, Terukula. 1. The judge of the Supreme Court or the High Court can be removed only on the grounds of proven misbehavior or incapacity. Second, once a motion of the removal of a judge is signed by required number of members of the parliament, for example, 100 in the case of Lok Sabha, 50 in the case of Rajya Sabha, the speaker or the chairman, the speaker of Lok Sabha or the chairman of the Rajya Sabha is constitutionally bound. That means there is a compulsion on them. They are constitutionally forced to approve it, to admit that. And 3, the investigation into charges against a judge is conducted by a committee consisting of judges such as Chief Justice of High Court, judges of Supreme Court, distinguished jurists, only after the motion is admitted by the speaker or the chairman. So which of these statements are valid here? Answers are coming beautifully. So Arul, Hika, Santosh, Kritik, Shubham, Iba, Hari, everyone is answering. Priyanshu, Kavish, yes, Terukula, Vikash and Madhav, and Apex, Eric, very good. What about Kojumba? What about Sitaram? What about Sahil? Very good, Kazu. Sahil answers here. Sumedh does. And my dear Kojumba. And did I see Ramu's answer? And did I see Sitaram's answer? Not so sure. Well answered, Sumedh. Well answered, Hika. Hika has clarified as well why he has chosen this answer. So once again, very good, Srishti. A huge round of applause to everyone because once again the majority is smoothly correct. Well done, Eric, and well done, Sitaram and Zahir. Well done. Well done, Bacha. Absolutely B is the right answer. You've just done it so well. You've nailed it completely. Still, if there's any doubt, you're feel free to ask me anytime. Yes, the first is correct. Yes, the third is correct. The second cannot be correct. That's the whole problem here. We are not giving any foundation for the speaker or the chairman to approve the bill, just like we do in the case of impeachment of the president in Article 21. In case of impeachment of the president, Article 61. In that case, they are bound to give approval. Here, there is no such foundation. They can give, they cannot give. They are acting in a very discretionary manner, yeah? So, correct, Satya, Anup? Well done, everyone. Brilliant. Quickly, let's move on to the second article in that case. This is also editorial, quite an interesting one. We are looking at lowering the age of juvenility for crimes is a step back. Now, what is juvenile? Juvenile is young. Somebody who's not even an adult, somebody who's way below 18 years of age. Recently, we have had a big discussion over juvenility. What is a child? What is the age of consent? What's the age of marriage? We were doing all these discussions as we were discussing the POCSO Act in India 2012. There we were talking about the Romeo Juliet clause that's becoming very common in India right now. It's making headlines that some teenagers from the age of 16 to 18, they are mature enough and they are deliberately entering into sexual relationships. But under POCSO, we don't see the consent. We believe that anybody who is below the age of consent, that is below 18, is always a victim of sexual harassment. Consent wouldn't matter. Therefore, the law is being abused, and hence we are looking into creating a Romeo Juliet clause. Very good. Absolutely perfect. So now this article is also looking at juvenile. Who are the children in India and how do you decide who's a child, who's an adult, who is in between adolescence and adulthood? It's a very complex question really when it comes to making rules. Yes? Well done, Santosh. Yes, we have spoken about. Well done, Kritik. We have given a special focus to Section 6 of POCSO that deals with aggraved nature of crimes. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well done, Satya. Coming back, Bacha, what does this article say so differently? So focus, please. Now, this article is looking at another act in India. This is known as somebody already clarified to me, Terukula said, the Juvenile Justice Act. It is called Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Act 2015. It's written right here. Today, as we are entering 2026, we have completed more than 10 years of this Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Act, which was passed initially in 2015. It has completed more than 10 years. It For the first time, this act in 2015 introduced a transfer system in India. What do you mean by transfer system? Under transfer system, children who are the age of 16 to 18 but who are accused of dangerous crimes. Dangerous. What do you mean by heinous? Heinous means dangerous, gruesome, brutal, hideous, dangerous crimes. They will get a minimum punishment of 7 years or more. They have done a crime that attracts a punishment of 7 years or more. They will be now treated as adults after a proper assessment has been done. Very good, Hari. All this happened after the Nirbhaya case, the very infamous Delhi gang rape case. Nirbhaya case of 2012. Since then, in India, we have not only passed the Criminal Procedure Act amendment, we have also focused on creating a Nirbhaya fund. We have further enhanced the provisions of POCSO. We have also, therefore, created the system of transfer. Because many times what is happening, people who are accused of very, very dangerous crimes, including rape, murder, homicide, all these are very young in their age. They are barely 16 to 18, but the crime that they have done is very barbaric. It's very dangerous. Yes, Satya. So dangerous that they should get a punishment of 7 years and above. So the question is, how long can we treat them as children? Even in the case of Nirbhaya, the accused, many of them were minors. They were not even 18 years of age. But does that mean we can refuse or we can reduce their punishment? We can excuse them for the dangerous crime that they have committed? Sorry, we can't. And therefore, the Juvenile Justice Act 2015 created the transfer system that some such minors who have done such a dangerous crime will now be treated like an adult. They will be given the punishment of that of an adult. But today, the controversy has erupted as in December 2025, there was a private member bill in the parliament that has given a new idea. What does it propose? It says, let us lower this age from 16 to 40. Let us lower this age from 16 to 14 years. Now, which means children as young as 14 years, as young as 15 years will also now be just treated like adult criminals. They will be sent to adult jail and they will be tried and punished in adult-like manner. Just in the way we punish adult criminals in the same prisons and jails, we will conduct a trial and punish these people in the same prison. Okay, so this is raising a controversy. A lot of critics are saying that you cannot reduce this age to 16 or 14. It is unfair because you are exposing young children to a very harsh criminal punishment by reducing this age to 14 and 16. So that's the big debate in India, whether it is valid, whether it is not. Now, before we understand the ethical dimension of this argument under GS paper 4, let us understand what is the transfer system in reality. What do you mean by the transfer system? Now, transfer system under the Juvenile Justice Act is the idea that children are different from adults. Naturally, adults and children are very different in the level of their maturity. And therefore, children being young are still vulnerable. They can still be changed through right education, through right counseling and guidance. You can still change, you can still modify the mind of a child. Therefore, after the 2012 dangerous Delhi gang rape, infamously known as the Nirbhaya case, the law has become much more punitive. Although we believe that children can be transformed. But still, after this dangerous Nirbhaya case, in India, criminal laws have become very, very strict. Very, very strict. What is happening today under the current system is that the Juvenile Justice Board conducts a preliminary inquiry, an assessment into the mental capacity of the accused, understanding whether the child who has done the crime even knows what he has done. Is he normal or is he mentally challenged? And if he or she is normal, then do they even understand the grave consequences of the crime that they have done, despite being a young adult, despite being a teenager, they have done a dangerous crime. Do they understand the repercussion of the crime that they have done? Now, this is done through a preliminary inquiry and assessment done by Juvenile Justice Board. Now, what happens once you know the basic mental level of that accused? The child will maybe transferred either to the children's court if they are immature. If they do not understand what they have done, then maybe they are transferred into children's court, which may now try them very differently. Or in case we find that no, the level of maturity is high, the child understands, and still the person has committed such a dangerous crime, then what happens? Then the courts will try the child as an adult. Then there is, sorry, no excuse. The child, the criminal or the accused will be treated just like any other adult criminal is treated. Now, the problem in India today is that people are saying reduce this age further. From say 16 to 18, let us reduce it to now 14 to 16. And people are worried. People are saying that very often the reality and the evidence is not matching the theoretical aspects of this law. Why is it happening like that? People are saying the transfer system is very arbitrary in India. It's very arbitrary and it does not follow the international juvenile justice standards in other countries either. Why like that? Because there is no scientific tool to understand whether the accused is behaving like an adult at a young age or whether the minor still doesn't have too much matured mental capacity. The decisions taken whether to send the accused to a child court or whether to adult criminal system is all discretionary. It all depends on weak indicators like fear, remorse, knowing the consequences of the act that you have done. So their emotional status is used to decide whether they should be punished like an adult or whether they need more reform or whether they should be tried within the juvenile justice system. And therefore, there is no scientific tool to measure that. In India, people are saying this completely ignores the victim and the trauma of childhood. Sometimes children are vulnerable. Maybe they were forced to conduct a crime by some other adult member of the family or some adult member of the gang in which they are taking part. Sometimes problems like poverty, unemployment in the family, hunger and deprivation encourage children to take up to crimes in order to earn money. In that case, by treating them as adults, you are refusing them any scope for getting reformed later in life. Yes, it is ignoring the vulnerability and the circumstances of the child. It leads to unequal outcomes because similar cases sometimes has led to different punishments for different children involved. Now, if you look at rehabilitation, when you give a child punishment like an adult criminal, you are refusing them any kind of rehab facility. You are not giving them any access to education, any access to psychological counseling, skilling, or any kind of education and training. So today they have acted in a criminal like manner. All their life they will act like that because now you are sending them in the company of proper, proven adult criminals. And this private member's bill, who is now talking about reducing the punishment age to 14, is further pushing the age limit too low. 14 is a very vulnerable age. In that age, if you punish a child like that of an adult, then childhood is completely devastated. Now, there is another data that this article has pointed out towards. This article says it is a very big difference when you look at the real data on ground and the theories that are propagated by people. Now, if you look at the data collected by NCRB, National Crime Records Bureau, National Crime Records Bureau, if you look at that, very well discussion done on reformative theory, that's really well done. Now, focusing on the reality of data, looking at NCRB, National Crime Records Bureau 2023. Listen carefully, bacha. Crimes done by children are only 0.5% of total crimes. Out of 40,036 children who are being accused of crimes, 79% are coming from the age of 16 to 18. Only 21% were between 12 to 16 years of age. That means there is no such proper criteria of dividing serious crime on the basis of age. Pushing it to as low as 14 could mean you are punishing the segment that has done 21% of the crime and treating them like adult criminals, whereas the actual 16 to 18 age group people are responsible for almost 80% of the crime. So therefore, this is not justified. This is not a very, you can say, transparent way of punishing people. This is not the right way of dividing crimes into serious or non-serious. And therefore, in India, we have completely led to a misunderstanding of juvenile crime. Why do we in India, we misunderstand juvenile crime? Vulnerable communities, GS paper 2, because many adolescents are victims of social neglect. They themselves are victim of rape, homosexual crime, acid attack, beatings, domestic abuse, forced labor, lack of education, systematic poverty, and hunger. In these circumstances, how do we expect them to understand how to live a productive life? Many children are in the need of care and protection. They are not hardened criminals. Maybe they have done a crime, but they are not trained criminals yet. There is still the right time we can reform them. By lowering the age, you are still exposing many more of these children to harsh punitive system, and then they can never be reformed. Then they will never be able to get reformed into decent and into strong law abiding adults. And therefore, in India, we have failed to distinguish between vulnerability and culpability. Who is a criminal, but who actually is vulnerable? We have failed to do that. Okay. Now, in that case, what is the danger behind adult criminal process on children? When you treat a child and punish a child like an adult criminal, a hardened criminal in a proper jail, what happens? It disrupts the education of a child, that's for sure. The child will never get a white collar or any decent job in future. It will harm the cognitive and psychological growth of the child. The child will further be exposed to drug abuse, sexual abuse, and a very abusive culture in a young age. It causes stigma. Society will never accept that child. Traumatization. Even the process is very punitive, regardless of the outcome. Sometimes illegally detained children are languishing in jails for years because they have no money to score themselves, to buy themselves a bail bond. Even bail bond needs money. Many of these children will never get a bail bond. Nobody will bail them. Nobody will come to visit them. And they will waste all their adulthood in adult prison. So, therefore, the real problem is systematic failure, weak understanding of age and how is age related to capacity of committing a crime. So, what's the core argument here? Fix the system, not the child. Fix the system, not the child. The bill that is being proposed today as a private member bill, which says that reduce the punishable age to 14. A child as young as 14 can be treated like an adult hardened criminal. No, it is about you are running from your responsibility because you could not provide education as a society. You couldn't provide clean clothing, clean food, safe access to education, and now you are saying punish them as hardened criminals. No. We'd rather still reconsider that. We'd rather give them rehabilitation, chances of early intervention, education, community support, and mental health care could prevent future criminals from becoming hardened criminals. Okay, that's the pitch of this article, therefore, right? Okay, lots of views and lots of opinions are coming in. It is, but if you look at the data, then code name help. Majority crimes are committed by those who are between 16 to 18, not by those who are 12 to 14. Okay, so unnecessarily pushing them towards hardened punishment would further mean they will be criminals all their life. So even when reform is possible, no reform is being given. Okay, so that is why we are trying to understand a child in terms of a child need, not in terms of the institutional need of punishing criminals. All right, the question with reference to Juvenile Justice Act 2015 and the proposed amendment through a private member bill, consider these statements. Lots of answers are coming. Kojumba, Santosh, Kavish, Priyanshu, Udit, Iba, Sitaram, Apex, Akhtar. Good. 1. This act introduced a transfer system under which children from 16 to 18 accused of dangerous, heinous crimes may be tried as adults after a preliminary assessment. Second, the NCRB data, National Crime Records Bureau data, shows that children from 14 to 16 account for the majority of serious crimes committed by juveniles in India, young people in India. And 3, the transfer system was introduced after 2012 Delhi gang rape case. Nirbhaya case, despite the concerns about its compatibility with child rights and rehabilitation principles. So, which of these statements are valid here? Yes, is that true? Is that true, Zahir, Kazu, Vikash, and Ramu, Terukula, Kritik, Sumit, Iba, Nagar? Is that valid? You're sure? Let's see then. Is the first statement correct? It is. Second statement is correct? No, it is not. Let's go back to the data. And what does the data say? Only 21% of crimes are done from 12 to 16. 79% crimes are happening from 16 to 18. That means second statement is not correct, right? Third is correct? Yes, it is correct. we created the Juvenile Justice Act, okay, Protection and Prevention Act 2015, and we added a transfer clause in that. And all that has followed the Nirbhaya case. No problem, Kojumba. Okay, thanks for clarifying. So answer is A, yes it is. So should I give a huge round of applause to my majority? Yes, I must. Well done. Very well done as always. Brilliant as always. Now let's proceed with the third article for the day. Slightly also a little complex question. And what are we looking at? We are once again looking at GS paper 2. The first article was GS paper 2 polity and governance. This article is also GS paper 2 polity and governance. In the last few months, how many times have we discussed? Have we not? That there is a dispute in India about how the governors and the presidents, they take their jolly good time in giving their assent approval to the bill. They sit over the bill for months and years and they do not take an action on the bill. And therefore, many people complained to the Supreme Court, saying that this is unconstitutional. They are abusing their power, executive power. This is executive overreach. But what did the Supreme Court say? Initially, the court said, yes, it is wrong. Let us put an upper limit of 3 to 6 months. But then later the Supreme Court said, no, if the Constitution itself doesn't put any upper limit, then I'm sorry. Even we cannot act like a monitor and we cannot act and put an upper limit. But yes, it is basic courtesy that these people should understand and respect law, and they must give their assent to the bill in a given period of time, but we cannot put an upper time limit. So very well said there, Santosh. Ultimately, these are articles 200, 201, power of the governor to pass the bill, 201, the right of the governor to reserve the bill for presidential approval. Very, very good. Very, very good. So what does this article say? GS paper 2 polity and governance. Ramu says he really likes polity and I'm so happy to hear that. Okay, what does this article say? What has happened? So listen carefully. On January 20th, controversies were being created. Listen carefully. On January 20th, there was a huge controversy where the controversy happened in few state assemblies in India. And what were the controversies about? The controversies were about the customary address that is given by the governor in various states before the session of the parliament, before the session of the assembly can start. So every new year, there is a custom. Every new year, there is a custom that president at the center and governors at the state will address the Lok Sabha at the state level, the state assembly. It has to start with a customary address, a kind of talk, a kind of interaction by the governors. Okay, clear? But on 20th January, controversy happened. Why? Because in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, there was a controversy. In Tamil Nadu, the governor R.N. Ravi, he refused to read the prepared speech by the state cabinet. He said, I am not reading the speech, sorry. And in anger, he walked out. He said the speech had certain misleading statements and I am not going to read that, sorry. What happened in Kerala? In Kerala, Chief Minister, Mr. Vijayan, publicly corrected the governor. He had to publicly remind the governor that, sir, please read your speech, who skipped many portions of the speech and modified it and added his own remarks to the speech. And the chief minister had to say, sir, sorry, you are not doing the right thing. It's a customary address, so please read the speech properly. And he said, no, I am not reading the speech properly. So in both these states, the both governors, they refused to follow the custom of reading the speech. They didn't do it. Now what? Now comes the time of controversy, therefore. So what is happening? In India, therefore, we believe that there is a constitutional convention. There is a law in the constitution. There is a provision in the constitution. It's a well-established provision which says, listen carefully, that the governor must read exactly the same speech as prepared and approved by the state cabinet. In the speech, they should address and reflect about the policies of the elected government. The governor will not give his or her own views. I cannot, as a governor, give my views. I am supposed to read the speech written by the state cabinet in which I will talk about the various policies and principles and the various, initiatives taken by the state government. In India, we follow this as a practice taken from the British parliamentary model. Yes? Why do we do that in India? Now, by now, you all should know. You must be knowing. If you've read Lakshmikant or NCRT or D.D. Basu, any other book, that in India, our constitution is basically a constitution that has many borrowed features from various countries in the world. Principles like quasi-federal nature, directive principles of state policy, or whether you talk about emergency provisions, whether you talk about presidential as the head, president as the head, whether you talk about joint session. Yes, all these are ultimately taken from different countries altogether with the root, with the basis being the 1935 Government of India Act. Okay. Now, therefore, when you talk about this custom that governor will have to read the same speech given by the state cabinet, it is a custom that we have borrowed from British Parliament, from British parliamentary model, where even the British king or the queen, the British monarch, reads the government drafted speech without changing it, without putting his or her own inputs into it. But in India, this controversy has been there for quite some time. Why? Because we are a quasi federal structure. You know that while one party may be at the power in the center, within states we may have different political parties there that may rule. Many of the opposition rule states have always had that problem with the governor. As Ramu says, gubernatorial. Very good. But that means relating to the governor. Relating to the governor, gubernatorial. Many opposition rule states have a problem. They say that governors are acting like blind agents of the center. They support the party on which they get the ticket. They support the party to which they are affiliated. They do not support the state government. Ideally, they should, because they are nominal executive head. They are a constitutional body, but they should not take any side, but they do. That's what these people say. And now today, same thing is happening. Long back in India, the former Indian president, Mr. R. Venkat Raman, had said that governors are mouthpieces of the state government. They have to read the speech of the state government. And now, today, the debate is about the state of Kerala and the state of Tamil Nadu, where both the governors are seen as not doing this duty properly. The governor, Mr. Ravi, has repeatedly deviated or repeatedly refused to read the speech. In the last 3 years, it has happened so many times. And such actions, what do? Such actions defeat the constitutional conventions that were there in India. These actions politicize a role of governor, gubernatorial role. But that is not a political role. It is a ceremonial executive body. It's a constitutional body. Such discretionary actions disturb the balance between center and the states, throwing India's federalism and cooperative federalism off balance. Now, governors are supposed to act with constitutional restraint, not personal overreach. It's not allowed. That has happened in the case of both these cases, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Now, therefore, in India, repeatedly various chief ministers have demanded remove this custom altogether. Why do we need this custom? We have borrowed it from the British government. We don't need this custom anymore. Stop this custom of the governors giving a customary speech before the parliamentary session starts, before the state assembly session starts. Stop this immediately. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Mr. M.K. Stalin recently said we should amend the constitution and completely remove this custom and this practice of beginning a new year, first assembly session with governor's address. That is the root cause of all the problem. Where in the constitution do you find these important articles? Let's talk about that. In our constitution, there is an article 176 that deals with governors' customary address given to the state assembly. Then there is article 87 at the center that deals with presidential customary address to the parliament. Yes, now these provisions have been borrowed from British House of Commons years before. 35 years ago, President R. Venkat Raman had already said, let us not become too colonial in nature. Let us not copy the British government protocols. It is a meaningless formality. Remove that. Clearly, President R. Venkat Raman had raised this issue in front of Prime Ministers Rajiv Gandhi as well as Mr. Chandrasekhar. He said, please remove it. We are not living in British era exactly, Ramu. Why do we need these customs therefore? And one big question I'm asking you, if today we remove both these customs, as what earlier President R. Venkat Raman said, today the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Mr. Stalin is saying, if we remove these customs, what happens then? If these customs are removed, will there be any problem? No. I'm sorry, there is going to be no problem. Why? Now listen super carefully what I'm going to say now. Even if these customs are removed, we are not going to have any problem, because the President of India can still address the Parliament under Article 86. In India, Article 86 talks about how the President of India has the right to address either houses of the Parliament or both houses of the Parliament together. He can send a message to either house. And this article is very different from the article on customary address, that is 176. It's very different. I write it here. It's very different from Article 176. Article 176 is just a custom, just a fake practice. Come and just like British monarchy, give an address. Even if you remove that, sorry, no problem. Because there is another Article 86 that's more flexible. It is not a custom, it is President's discretion. Whenever the President feels it is the right time, he can or she can address either one or both houses of Parliament together. So therefore, removing the Article 176 has no problem. Now, similarly, today I'm saying if you remove Article, we spoke about one Article 176, even if you remove that, no problem at the central level, at the state level. If we remove this practice of customary address by governor under Article 87, will there be a problem? No, there is going to be no problem. Because otherwise also in our constitution, we have another article that is known as Article 175, under which the governor can still address either the state legislative assembly or, in the case of bicameral legislature, both the houses of the state assembly and the council together. He can send messages to the house. These powers continue even if you abrogate the existing custom under Article 176. No problem. Still, there is Article 175, and they can still keep addressing and sending messages. It will not create any power vacuum. Then what is the constitutional concern today? The concern is bigger. The concern is that the governors and the president must not assume power beyond what the constitution has provided. We should not do that. Yes, Kritik, these are backup articles. So they should not act with their discretion. They must respect the constitutional provisions and the spirit of the constitution. Do respect the letter and the spirit of the constitution. It's a live doctrine. That is India's constitution according to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Constitutional morality according to Dr. Ambedkar. If repeatedly the governors keep violating these constitutional provisions, then people will lose trust in neutral offices like governor. There is going to be no federal balance, and it defeats the purpose of constitutional morality as well. So that's what this article has summarized. A quick look at the question. It's an easy question. With reference to powers of the president and the governor in addressing the legislature, the parliament, or the state assembly, consider these statements. 1. Article 87 makes it mandatory for the president to address both houses of the parliament at the beginning session of each year. Second one, the Article 86 empowers the president to address either house of the parliament or both houses of the parliament at any time, whenever they feel like. 3. Article 176 makes it mandatory, compulsory for the governor to address the state legislature, while Article 175 allows the governor to address it at his or her own discretion. Which of these are valid statements? Yes. Answer is marked, Madhav. If the answer is marked, it means it will be correct. No, I have done it deliberately. My dear Ramu and my all other dear students, this is a very deliberate act done by your teacher today. It is a deliberately marked answer because it's wrong. It is a trap. It is not C. Now analyze the answer and let me know. 100% I have done this deliberately. Think about it. What is the right answer? And let me know. Now tell me what is the right answer. Okay, is it C? Really? 100%? Fine, let's break it down. What did we just study in this article? Let's break it down according to that. Let's quickly break it down as per what we have studied in this article. Okay, let's break it down. First statement says, Article 87 makes it mandatory, it is compulsory, for the president to address both the houses of the parliament at the beginning of the first session every year. Is that the case? Is that the case? What is Article 87? Article 87 means in India, in the constitution, there is a custom. There is a custom in which the president addresses either one house. What does president address? The president has to address the houses. It is important. Both the houses of the parliament need to be addressed by the president. It is a custom in India. It is borrowed by the British government, by the British constitution. Is it correct? It is correct only. That is what Article 87 does, right? Why is it wrong? Why is it wrong? What did we discuss in this? What is Article 87? Constitutionally, it is provided that the president has to address the parliament at the beginning of the parliamentary session. It is correct. Second, what is Article 86? It empowers the president to address either house of the parliament or both houses together at the same time. That is also correct. I showed you, right? Look what is written here. Even if you remove the customary logic, still there is an Article 86. And what is Article 86? Under Article 86, the President of India, whenever he or she wants, whenever he or she feels appropriate, they can address either one house or both the houses together or send messages to either of the house. It is a discretionary power. It is not mandatory like Article 87. It is not a custom. It doesn't have to happen at the beginning of the year. It can happen anytime. Any time of the year, whenever they think it is a need. Correct. Third one, Article 176. What is 176? Now we all know under Article 176, there is a custom in India that governors of various states have to give a customary address to state legislative assembly at the beginning of the year. Okay, so at the beginning of the year, as what Mr. Stalin says, it is a custom. We have to do it. We have to do it. Under Article 176, a governor must address state assembly. Okay, if we have both the houses, then both, otherwise only assembly at the beginning of the year. And what will he do here? He will give a speech that is made by state cabinet. It can't be discretionary, right? But what is 175? Now 175 is another article in which the governor at any time on his discretion can address both houses of the parliament if it is a bicameral legislature or one house of the parliament, or send any message. The power continues irrespective of whether Article 176 is there, it's not there. At any time you feel appropriate, you can do it. Go ahead, do it. Correct. So in that case, what should be the right answer? A should be the right answer. All of these are correct. All of these are correct. So what's the issue? It is called mandatory because it's a constitutional provision. Anything that is taken from the constitution has to be followed by the president and the governor. So therefore, it is a custom that is mandatory. You can call it customary. You can call it mandatory. You can call it constitutional provision. It has to be done. It has been done like that throughout. So what is the issue then? A should be the right answer. So just because it is marked correct, it will be correct. So today what happened? I'll tell you a very interesting story. In the morning when I was making this PPT, it was highlighted, okay? And immediately I thought, oh my God, it is highlighted. Have I highlighted the right answer? And then I was like, no, it's wrong answer. I should not do that. But then when a human being is battling between the devil and the angel, it is the devil because we are all human. So devil took better of me. I was like, no. Today I must do this kind of a trap game. And deliberately I let it be so that people will see and immediately they'll start answering. But that was not the case. That was not the case. So a rightly marked answer can also be wrong because here we have to try, solve every statement and then answer the question. I don't care about answers. You have to understand the logic. Now tell me what's the problem, Terukula and my dear Ramu. Where are we confused? Tell me, explain. Yes. Please explain. What is the challenge? Is it clear to everybody or still are we struggling? Any doubts? Let me address right now. What is bicameral, my dear Kojumba? But a bicameral happens when in some states you have two houses. One is state assembly, just like Lok Sabha at the center. One is the legislative council, just like you have the Rajya Sabha, the upper house. Okay, so for that, elections will be happening indirectly. Okay, Ramu says the word mandatory is causing the confusion. Okay, I understand that. That's a valid point that you're making, Ramu. Also, that's a valid point. So, mandatory here you can understand as customary. Customary. See, what is customary, bacha? Customary means a custom, a fixed kind of tradition that you follow, right? Like in the parliament, you also have the halwa making tradition. It's a custom. But if certain thing is mentioned clearly in the constitution, and we believe that governors and presidents should follow the constitution in letter and spirit, then will it not be backed up as compulsory? It is something they have always done, and it is something that they should continue to do. A student was asking, why should they read a notice or a letter written by a state cabinet? Because that is only the custom. They can't use their own mind here, because that address that you give at the beginning of the session of assembly or the parliament, it is about the ruling party. It is about what is their manifesto, what are they planning to do, how will the government be conducted. So therefore, as a constitutional body, you have to tell that to the parliament. Here you can't say that no, I don't support these policies. Here I will say what I want to. I don't want to listen to these people. No, because you are nobody to say that. You are not a political body. You are a constitutional body. Okay. That's a very valid question you are asking, Ramu. Let me explain, Bacha. See, when I am saying Article 86, then under Article 86, it is it's a provision of the Constitution in which a president can anytime, say from January to December, whenever they want, anytime they can go and address the parliament. Nobody will stop them. Either one house or both the house, or they can send a message also. Okay, it is independent provision. It has nothing to do with the custom. It doesn't happen that, okay, under Article 86, I am the president. Now, only in January I can talk to the parliament. Not like that. You do whenever I feel the need, I will do it. January, February, March, April, December, when I need, I feel there is a need to address these two houses together or separately, I will do that. It's a right I have under Article 86 as a constitutional body of India. That is different. Okay, 86. Now, what is 87? 87 is an exclusive custom that every time a new year comes, 2026 is coming. Now, for the first time, assembly will sit, parliament will sit at the center. How will you start a new day, new year? If you meet each other, what do we say? Hello, happy new year. It's like that. It's a custom. Which article deals with that custom? That is 87. It has been a protocol throughout. That is why we use the word mandatory, because it's not oral. It is written in the constitution. There is an article 87 in which you can, or rather you should. It's not about can, you have to. It is a duty you have assumed. You have chosen to be the president. No, nobody is forcing you. Now you have to go and start the day, start the new year by addressing the parliament. What will you say here? You can't decide. Something that the cabinet gives you, that please read this speech. Now I will go and read the speech as the president. Okay, I won't use my desire or discretion that I don't listen, I don't want to agree with you, so I will not read that. That's not allowed. Sorry, it's a constitutional mandate. No, 87, a mandatory article that makes a custom compulsory. So it's a mandatory custom. You can take it like that. Okay, but 86 is a duty of the president. So they are very different from each other. I hope it's clear. Wonderful. Any doubts? I can still clarify. But I really enjoyed today. I like these traps, okay? Sounding very evil, but I really like. Okay, next article quickly. The next article is talking once again about your favorite President Trump. I won't take very long, so please focus here. What is happening in Greenland right now? Now, yesterday in the night, I was busy for about 2 hours watching President Trump's live address at the Davos summit, Switzerland. Yes, the Davos summit that's happening as a part of World Economic Forum. What all did he say in that summit? My. It was a shocking speech. In that speech, it was like he has made it so clear now that he will definitely take some action on Greenland, whether he's admitting it today or whether he's not admitting it today. What is happening? Let's understand quickly. In 1946, we are going back to the times of Second World War ending period. In 1946, American President Mr. Henry Truman had offered to give 100 million in gold. Imagine today if somebody gives you 100 million in gold, what happened? You will be the next Ambani. Yes, The next Ambani, 100 billion in gold. Million in gold? Can you imagine? That time he promised. Why? He wanted to buy Greenland from Denmark. Yes. What is Denmark? Denmark is a founding member of NATO, a part of European Union. What did Denmark say? No, it said, I'm not going to do that because Greenland is a very resource rich area. Plus, the people there have a culture of their own. Okay. Now, after so many years, today, same thing is happening. History is repeating itself. President Trump is following the footsteps of his predecessors. He is following the Monroe Doctrine from 1823 as Dunro Doctrine. And similarly, just like President Truman, he is now offering once again a good deal to Denmark, saying that give me Denmark because I need it for America's national security. Denmark doesn't only have an access to Arctic Circle, an area rich in oil, gas, fish, critical minerals, but also sitting in Greenland, we can manage our satellite launch programs and also monitor the satellite launch programs of countries like Russia and China. America says it's important for my security. I need it today. And if you don't give me, it will have a grave global consequence. It is almost like a threat that President Trump has given. Why is this threat so dangerous today? Why? Because if American president continues to give these threats, then his relationship with European Union, the transatlantic relation. Why do you call it transatlantic relation? Let's look at the map. It is called as transatlantic because here on the one hand you have European Union, on the other hand you have United States of America. The huge stretch of sea in between. It's the North Atlantic region where America exercises its monopoly. So the transatlantic trade and relations will get damaged forever. European Union is America's largest trading partner and largest investor. NATO is a key military alliance which has seen tremendous support and investment from America in the past. Today, what has President Trump said? He says, I am going to put heavy tariffs on European Union. He says, I am going to put heavy tariff on European Union. I will start by putting 10% tariff on exclusive 8 European countries, including Denmark, Norway, Sweden, UK, France, Germany, Netherlands, and Finland. And if they still don't give me Greenland, then from June 1st onwards, I will increase this tariff to 25%. It's a clear-cut threat. Now, Denmark's Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, has clearly said Europe will not be blackmailed. Sorry, President Trump, we will not take any blackmailing from you. What will Europe do now? We are looking at trade bazooka. What do I mean when I say that? I mean European Union is now thinking that let us put counter tariffs, retaliatory tariffs. No, it is a part of Denmark, and Denmark is a key member of EU and NATO. It is a sovereign area, but then it is controlled by Denmark. Yes. Now, it's still going on. Many millions of dollars trade has declined, but still it continues to be the largest trading partner. Now, today what is happening? European Union countries are saying, let us create a retaliatory tariff. Let us also put a return tariff on America worth 93 billion euros. 93 billion euros worth of counter tariff. This is called trade bazooka. We will also use anti-coercion instrument. We will not be taken for granted, and we will restrict imports, investment, and our companies from working in America. This tool was used earlier in 2023 after China had stopped Lithuanian goods from coming in China. Today, President Trump is saying, I will not leave Greenland because if I leave Greenland, then China or Russia may come and acquire Greenland. Now, President Putin recently said, I don't know why these rumors are being spread. Russia has immediate no interest in considering a capture or a lookout into Greenland. It is a theory that's being propagated only by President Trump. And what will be the economic impact of that? As I said, European Union is the largest trading partner for America. US is the biggest export destination for Europe, just like it used to be for us Indians. $48 billion trade we used to do with America before the tariffs came in. Then, what about investment? Europe provides 50% of all foreign direct investment in America. Europe is the largest recipient of American foreign direct investment. It's a mutual relation. Today, trade and investment, if not America, will naturally shift towards China. And how will it impact NATO? Greenland is a part of Denmark, and Denmark is a founding member of NATO. America also is a founding member of NATO. America contributes 15% of NATO budget. If no America is there, how will NATO function? Who will protect Europe against threat from earlier Soviet Union, now Russia? Who will protect Europe? In fact, in yesterday's speech in Davos, he has given a very indirect threat. He says, if I stop giving money to NATO, then soon Russia will come and start capturing eastern part of European Union. Who will protect you? Nobody. So listen to me and give me Greenland. It's a clear-cut threat. President Trump's statements on Greenland is under a strategy of America, which is just like China. This is known as US plus strategy or US plus strategy, just like we have the China plus strategy. We have US plus strategy that US is not only going to take South America, but also Greenland now. Very well said. Vikash, like you said earlier, the cold Labrador current, absolutely. And as I mentioned previously, wherever the hot and cold ocean currents meet, it's the most fertile area for majority variety of fish and seafood, corals. It's very fertile. Now, in all that light, today what is happening? President Trump has undermined and insulted his NATO allies. Countries who are in Europe today are highly insecure, especially those countries which have American bases there. What about people on ground? Will people in Greenland, people in Denmark, or people in America support the deal? Will they do that? If you look at the people in Greenland, 85% people are against joining America. They said, we are not going to join America. What about people in Denmark? They are also angry. They said, no, so easily we are not going to give away our Greenland to President Trump. What about America? 54% Americans do not support taking over Greenland. In fact, opposition cuts are happening across Democrats and Republicans over this issue. Even the courts in America have started feeling that President Trump is exceeding his limits too much. And why does Greenland really want to hold back and prefer its alliance with Denmark? Why Greenland hates 85% people in Greenland hate becoming a part of America. Why? Because they do not want political autonomy over their country. They want social welfare protection, which Denmark has given so long. They want their cultural identity, language, food. Why? Because all that is protected under Denmark's control. And they are worried, very worried, that if America captures us, then America will create many more bases in us, just like today America has an important base called Pitufik base. Earlier it was called Thule base. Tomorrow America will create more ballistic satellite programs here, more ballistic missile programs here, many more air and military bases here. And that will be a devastation for the people, ecology, and culture of of Greenland. And they don't want that. They don't want to be under American control. So, in one line, what is happening right now is that President Trump's active push to acquire Greenland will severely damage America-European relation. Who will stand as benefited in the process? If European Union decides to diversify the market into China, just like India diversified after American tariff attack, China will be in a very good position. China probably will find newer partners which will become a ally into the BRI, Belt and Road Initiative. You know, the world is right now highly territorial. The Western is America, Eastern is China. So if you maintain the line of peace, good. Otherwise, one will always dominate on the other. Okay. Now, as I speak about this article, a quick mention about the Davos summit also. Now, the Davos summit is happening in Switzerland. Here on the map, you can see European Union countries. You can see Switzerland here, right, sitting on the top of Italy. Just like you wear a hat, Italy wears a hat called Switzerland. One of the richest countries in the world. Yes. Now, if the capital is Geneva right here, on the left, boundary with France, here you have Davos. On the very eastern side of Switzerland, you can see the tiny place called Davos. What is happening in Davos? In Davos, we are having the 2026 56th annual meeting of World Economic Forum. It will end tomorrow. Okay. And what is the theme this year? The theme this year is a spirit of dialogue. But what is World Economic Forum, by the way? Yes, such questions come in the prelims. What all reports are released by World Economic Forum? Which reports? Maybe I can make a separate video on that. All the reports that are created by World Economic Forum, you can get a question on that. So World Economic Forum is an independent intergovernmental organization. It's based in Geneva, the capital, Switzerland. So be very clear. Yes, thank you so much. Code name. It is Bern. Sorry, my mistake, my bad. I say it again. Yes, it's Bern. The capital is 100% Bern. Now, Geneva, important being the headquarters of many global bodies. Thank you for clarifying. Very good. Plus, there is another area in Switzerland which is often in the news because of IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature, that releases its red data list or the red list of endangered plants and animals. Where is the headquarter? Gland. Where is Gland? Switzerland. So there are many places famous. Thank you very much, codename Chip, for clarifying. The capital is Bern. Let me write down here. Bern. Very good. Okay, so be very clear about that. Thank you very, very much. Now coming back to World Economic Forum, which reports are created by World Economic Forum? Important for the exam. And what is this? An intergovernmental organization in Geneva. Okay, when was it created? It was found back in 1971. Yes, the same time when India was having a war with Pakistan, through which Eastern Pakistan or Bangladesh was created. Yes, remember during the times of Indira Gandhi regime. Yes. So 1971 we created the World Economic Forum, and who founded World Economic Forum? It was founded by Klaus Schwab. His name is very famous here. It was founded by Klaus, and it's a very German name, Schwab. Klaus Schwab. He was the founder. Okay. Yes, 5 headquarters, many more headquarters, and very good, Vikash. Thanks for reminding. 1971 is also important because of Ramsar Convention. Brilliant. In a city in Iran called Ramsar. Geneva Convention. Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for clarifying. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. So that's World Economic Forum. Now, World Economic Forum meets through business houses, academia, civil society, governments, and then they try to create a policy on the regional industry agenda. They shape the global policies, governance policies. Annually, they meet in a place called Davos in Switzerland itself, on the eastern part of Switzerland. Okay. So just remember, at the same time, do remember 1971 and various policies, various reports that are released by World Economic Forum are very important. Quickly, the question. With reference to recent America's push to buy Greenland, look at these statements. 1. Greenland is a part of Denmark and comes under NATO's collective security framework. And what is the collective security framework of NATO? Article 5 of NATO Charter. Second, EU is the largest trade partner for US and largest source of FDI, foreign direct investment. 3. The anti-coercion instrument is being used by European Union. It is designed to counter economic and political force coercion by restricting market access. And 4. Public opinion surveys show that both a majority of Greenland's people and majority of Americans oppose Greenland becoming a part of United States of America. Which of these statements are correct? Which of these are correct? Really? Vikash, Sumit, Iba, is the answer B here? Are you sure? 100%? Only second, third are correct. Is that the case? What did we just see in the article? Public opinion says majority of people of Greenland, 85%. And a majority of Americans, they oppose Greenland becoming a part of America. Yes. Because majority of people in Greenland feel if acquired by America, we will have more military bases, more missile programs. It will devastate our culture. So fourth is totally correct. Third is totally correct. Second is totally correct. Then, what about first? Is Greenland not a part of Denmark? It is. Is Denmark not a part of NATO? It is. Under NATO, don't we have Article 5 of NATO Charter Collective Defense? Not correct. Correct. Then what should be the right answer? It should be D, right? It should be D. Which of these are wrong? None of these are wrong. So Sitaram, Priyanshu, Iba, Vikash, Santosh, Eric, Anup, very good. Ramu, Kojumba, everyone, brilliant. Well answered. So we are done with the lengthy articles for the day, thank God. We are just left with the 2-3 small coverages. Let me quickly summarize them for you. Give me another 5 minutes, please. Well done, Naveen. Coming back. Should corruption charges need prior sanction? This will become a repetition because just 2 days before in the editorial page, we have thoroughly discussed in India the Anti-Corruption or the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 with special reference to section 17A of this act. We have done that. So I won't take much time. In 2 lines, I will summarize the basic idea of this article. It is a text page article. We have done that already. Okay. Now, first coming back to this article and then going back to queries. Should corruption need prior approval? What is going on here? 3 days before, we were discussing in the editorial page that in India there is an act called as, which is this act? It is known as an act which is Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. Clearly, okay. Now, in this act, there is a section known as Section 17A. Today, it is causing controversy because under this section, it is believed that before police or investigative authorities can start investigating on allegations of crime, they have, and the allegations of corruption or crime, they have to take some permission from the government. If they don't take permission of the government, they cannot begin investigation into charges of corruption which involves a public servant or a government official. Any public servant who has done any activity, any job as a part of their official function cannot be investigated as corrupt before taking the permission of the government. That is 17A, section of Anti or Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. Today it is debatable. Yesterday we saw how in India there is a split verdict about it. We spoke about two justices, two important judges of Supreme Court. One is Justice Nagaratna. She said, totally remove section 17A. We don't need prior permission of the government before investigating into corruption charge against a public servant. But very good, Vikash. Justice Vishwanathan did not agree. Justice Vishwanath said, no, let us not remove it completely, but let us make sure that the permission is not taken from the government, it is taken from a third independent autonomous body, for example, the Lokpal of India. That is the debate right now. Should we remove it completely or should we restore it, keep it, but the permission should not be given by the government. The prior approval should not come from the government. It should come from a body called Lokpal. Because it is a split verdict, now it will go to the Chief Justice of India. The 53rd Chief Justice of India, Justice Suryakant, who will now have a special committee, a decision-making body, and now a proper decision will be taken whether to keep or remove. Because I am talking to you, yes, split verdict, very good. Because we are talking about Lokpal. What do you mean by Lokpal? Now, Lokpal in India is an independent anti-corruption body. When was it established? It was established back in 2013 by an act known as Lokpal and Lokayukt Act 2013. What is the objective? The purpose is to inquire into allegations of corruption against public officials, including Prime Minister, including Union Minister, including MPs and senior government officers. It acts like an ombudsman. It acts like an ombudsman. Okay? It acts like a mediator at the central level. The aim is to ensure transparency and accountability in public service and administration. Who all come under the supervision of Lokpal? Prime Minister with some safeguards, Union Ministers, Members of Parliament, the group A, B, C, D central government officers, officials of central public sector undertakings. The duty of this Lokpal is to receive complaints of corruption, to conduct preliminary inquiry and investigation, to order probes to be taken further by CBI. And it also recommends prosecution or disciplinary action. Okay, so do remember all these things. We have done that before. Now, quickly, the next article. This is coming from GS paper 2 IR. Very important. High government official. Brilliant Priyanshu and Apex and Ramu and Kritik and Madhav Santosh. Yes, ombudsman. Correct. Now, next article quickly takes you to another country. And this country, of course, is Taiwan. In the last few months, I have repeatedly spoken about Taiwan. Today, one more thing about Taiwan. I wonder if you have seen my latest video on Pratas Islands. If not, then bacha, please try to at least see the basic point of the video. In the past, I have mentioned many islands that are conflicting, that are a point of conflict in the South and East China Sea. The one was Yonaguni, north of Thailand. One was Pratas that I spoke about yesterday. Then one was Pingtan, from where China keeps on attacking Taiwan because it's nearest to Taiwan from China. Nearest to Taiwan from China. Which other islands did I spoke about near Taiwan exclusively? I spoke about at least these three. With Pratas, I said it is a group of 3 islands archipelago. All these are coral atolls. Okay, so remember all that. Very, very good. We talk about it every day. Very good, Chip. Precisely. What is happening right now, bacha? Taiwan is in the news because we know Taiwan is an area of dispute. Between whom? Taiwan is an area of dispute between China and Taiwan, mainly. But it becomes a proxy battle of China and America. For America, Taiwan is a key ally. It's a military camp almost. America keeps supplying high amount of arms, weapons, and military to Taiwan. Yes. Now Taiwan also wants to stay sovereign and independent, but it doesn't have the status of a sovereign country because both places, Hong Kong and Taiwan, including even Tibet for that matter, are all occupied and they are all claimed by China under a policy of China called China One policy. One more. One country, two system policy. Although Taiwan has its own government, its own monetary and fiscal and legal systems, but China demands Taiwan. Why? The conflict goes back to 1945 World War, when after its defeat in the Second World War, Japan gave back Taiwan to China, but it failed to clarify to which party in China has Taiwan been given back to. Whether it's the main party in mainland China or whether it's a small group of Chinese government that was stationed in Taiwan. Since then to now, the conflict has gone, it is going on repeatedly. China therefore keeps conducting illegal, harassing, breaking down Article 2.4 of United Nations Charter. It keeps on sending drones, surveillance equipment, Coast Guard ships near and around Taiwan. Recently, in December 2025, China has conducted a dangerous military operation which is surrounding Taiwan from all the sides, south, north, east, west. And this operation is known as Operation Justice Mission 2025. Operation Justice Mission 2025. The real trigger started when Japan posted a small, medium range ballistic missile near an area called Yonaguni in the north of Taiwan. China did not like that. China is already hating Japan because of many other conflicts like the Senkaku, Diaoyu Island. Yes? So therefore, China got triggered, and since then China has been telling America to push back. Do not send military to Taiwan. Do not encourage Taiwan to go separate. That's the controversy right now. Under Operation Justice Mission, large-scale military drills, live fire drills. I showed you in the photo also. Live fire drills have been conducted in and around Taiwan. Very good. Yes, what Vikash just said was about PRC, the People's Republic of China, who owns the mainland China. They demand the ownership of Taiwan. Yes. Now what is happening? China has warned Taiwan to stop its sovereignty claims, its pro-independence forces, and to stop taking more military help from US. The Operation Justice Mission drills are live fire drills. They are a threat, a real threat coming to Taiwan from China. It has raised concerns among other countries like European Union and Japan, because Taiwan says these actions are coercive actions. And these drills are a significant escalation because they are very near Taiwanese coast. And now other countries are also worried about that. That what if China actually starts doing an active capture, just like President Trump has done on Venezuela? And as you are saying, gray area strategy, then Satya, yes, do remember the gray area strategy, the 9 dashed line, the string of pearls, salami slicing, and the white zone strategy of China. All these are dangerous strategies of China. Very good, Sumedh. Why Taiwan is a key part of Pax Silica? Because Taiwan has a great capacity of, great technological capacity of making semiconductors, AI chip fabrication, as well as processing the midstream capacity of rare earth material. That's why it's a great asset for America. Okay. So right now it's causing major tensions. Just remember the map. That's it. Now, one more thing I forgot before I move on. Yesterday, I spoke about the Pratas Islands, right? There is another name of Pratas Island. Just like when you talk about Senkaku Island, the conflict in the East China Sea, uninhabited between Japan and China, China calls them Diaoyu. China calls them Diaoyu. Similarly, Pratas, they have another name called Dongsha. Okay, so don't forget that. In case tomorrow you get a word, they are also called Dongsha Islands. Don't forget that. Okay, so now one of the last quick observations for the day. There is a leader, human rights activist from a country called Mozambique, and she has received the prestigious Indira Gandhi Peace Prize for Disarmament and Development for 2025. It's one of the highest international honors given to those people who are now trying to promote human rights, transparency, and working towards peace. Yes. Okay, so what is the name of this lady? She is known as Miss Graca Machel. Miss Graca Machel, she's from Mozambique. Now, it's a small article, but I want you to see the location of Mozambique. So please quickly have a look at Africa. Africa, a continent with largest number of countries, has Mozambique located towards the southeast of Africa. So please focus on the location of Mozambique, the capital Maputo. Yes, and it is very near other important regions like Madagascar Island. Madagascar was in the news because of the recent Gen Z protests that were hitting Madagascar. Now, looking at Mozambique, it has a big coastal area. But do you know anything about Mozambique as such? Let's quickly know in 2 lines today. A good thing. What is Mozambique? Now, Mozambique is a country that is right now not facing, I repeat, not facing any full scale civil war. But in the past, it has. And today, it is facing a serious armed conflict and instability across the area of Mozambique. If you talk about the civil war in Mozambique, then it had happened from 1977 to 1992. Okay, so civil war had happened in Mozambique, like in other areas of Africa. It had happened from 1977 to 1992. That was the civil war. Okay, Ramu, that's funny. That was the civil war. Now, why did the civil war happen? Civil war was happening between the ruling party, Frelimo, and the anti-government rebel called Renamo. Because you remember, I'll just quickly write it down here. So the ruling party was known as Frelimo, and this was the government. And the anti-government party that was doing the civil war was actually known as Renamo. Okay, so I have written the names here: Renamo and Frelimo. Just remember broadly. That was a civil war. Now, civil war ended in 1992. There was a peace agreement, but today also there is a conflict. Why? Since 2017, listen carefully. Since 2017, there has been an ongoing violence in Mozambique because of violent Islamic insurgency in the northern province of Mozambique. It is very famous in the whole world. You can get a question in places in the news. Can I ask you, where is this province known as Cabo Delgado located? Cabo Delgado. Where is Cabo Delgado? Cabo Delgado is the area in Mozambique where you are having a massive Islamic insurgency going on. Where is it? Look at the map. It is located at the top of Mozambique, right on the northern area of Mozambique. Yes? Very good, mother. Yes? Do you remember? Do you remember? What is the name? Will you remember in future? Cabo Delgado. Okay? Cabo Delgado. I will ask this in 2-3 days. Cabo Delgado. Northern place of Mozambique, nobody should forget. Priyanshu and Ramu are making some really fascinating mnemonics today, and you will make everybody hungry in the class. Okay, now we are done with almost everything. Now there was one small passing news in the newspaper which said that the union government has approved a big amount of money, rupees 5,000 crore. For whom? For India's micro, small and medium sector enterprises, small scale industries. Why? Because they generate employment in India. So the government will give this money to SIDBI, Small Industries Development Bank in India, so that they can offer more loans, more credit, more facilities to allow more micro and small scale industries to grow in India. And why are they important? Because India has about 6.9 crore micro, small and medium enterprises. That means they give employment to about 30 crore people in India. If we continue to support this sector, it will also give us more employment in the white collar domain perhaps. Now we are done. That's it. This is just there, so I got it. You all know about the controversy. We are looking at the Gaza Board of Peace created by President Trump under 20-point peace program between Israel and Palestine. Today, he has invited India to join both. Pax Silica also, Gaza Peace Board also. India is still thinking about it. What do you mean by mulling? The article title says mulls over. When you mull over something, it means you are thinking deeply about something. You are speculating, pondering about something. You keep thinking, okay, I'm mulling about it. I'm thinking about it. Okay. So we are trying to mull over it. India is still mulling over it, thinking about it, whether we should join the Gaza Peace Board or not. One thing is clear, India will not send any military there. Definitely no. But whether we should join the board, we don't know. Because recently, yesterday, many countries like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, Jordan, Indonesia, Pakistan, Qatar, and UAE have already joined. So, whether we should join or not, Israel also may join. So, whether we will join or not, we don't. So, that is something India is still thinking about, and that's it for today's class. Then. Okay, today's was a very information dense lecture. So, as you revise the PDF, make sure you remember the key highlights of the lecture. And if it's going to help you, if it's going to help my students in any way, what we can also do is that we can also attach a special page here. And at the end of every PPT, we can also write the star highlights of today's lecture. So, what are the star highlights of today's lecture? So many, too many to count really. But one of them was the new area in Mozambique that I showed you. Yes. And then we spoke about the justice mission. We spoke about few islands. So let's do that. I think that will help us in revising. Okay. Thank you, Ramu. Yes, it is known as contemplating. Very good. Really? It has all the vowels? Then what about N? Vowels are A, E, I, O, U. Mozambique has N. Mozambique has Q. Then where are vowels coming in the picture? Okay. Yes, it's like a double-edged sword, okay? Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much, everyone. Then I'll take your leave. God bless you. And thank you so much. My gratitude for making such a lovely, interactive, such a high energy class for all of us. It's all because of you. So God really bless you for that. Lots of success from my side. And do remember, we are having great sale options right now available. So in case you want to join prelims or mains and prelims together, 2017 course, 2027 course, 2028 course, then remember my code's live. It will give you maximum discount. And today at 1 p.m., I will go live on the main channel, StudyIQ, where I'm taking CSAT comprehension classes. Although they are live, and in 10 days, I will cover the whole syllabus. One is done yesterday. And this is in bilingual mostly. Okay. So it will be English, Hindi both. So in case anybody is interested, you can join me there. Thank you so much. Bye, Eric. Bye, Kritik. Bye, Iba, Vikash, Priyanshu, Ramu, Sumit, Anup, Santosh, Himanshu, and Bulbul, Kojumba, Sitaram. Bye, Yumnam. Okay. Bye, Eric. Bye bye, Ramu. They are really happy with their mnemonics today. They are quite exciting ones. By codename Chip, Vikash, Kazu, Kaizan, and Hika, Hari, Satya. Anybody I'm missing? My dear Terukula, and Santosh, and codename World Cricket, Anup, Madhav, Naveen. Well done, everyone. And who else? That's it, I guess. Iba, Urapa. Okay. Kaizen, Sadhana, Satya. Bye bye, everybody. Bye bye. Bye, Nishant. Bye bye.